Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's nice. Hello, giving me some feedback. Good morning, everyone. We don't need that in the morning, do we? Hopefully that's just fixed it for everybody else as well. Do let me know if that is repeating, because nobody needs to hear my voice more than once. Most of all me. So do let me know if that's working. I hope that you're not hearing lots and lots of my voice on repeat. I will continue to look just to the side, just to keep an eye on comments and things. It's fixed it. Thank you very much, Emma. That is very useful. I am very grateful for you letting me know that. Good morning. I'm Chrissa, for those who didn't know, if you've not seen my face enough. Um, I'm always on Facebook, always on Insta, I'm always online. So good morning. I'm Chrissa. I hope you're all well. Keeping an eye on the comments coming through. There's quite a few of you watching now, so that's great. Do say hello if you can see us. Let me know where you're watching from. Let's see how far we can reach. We have reached places like New Zealand and Australia on our Facebook lives and YouTube live, remember. We're live on YouTube right now as well, which is always fun and daunting to know that I'm being seen by lots and lots of different people. Yeah, a little bit terrifying. Um, so good morning. Do say hello. Oh, there's lots of people. Hello, Heidi in Staffordshire. Hi, Claire in Warwickshire. Hi, Chantal from Crawley, next to Gatwick. And Christine is in Bedfordshire. Wonderful. Nick is in Wirral. Did you say the Wirral or just Wirral? The Wirral? Anyway, Nick is there. Morning, Belinda from Cheltenham in Gloucester. Morning, Zoe in Lancashire. Hi, Jane in Dartford. Oh, Leanne's in France. She's winning. Morning, Leanne. Bonjour. Hi, Alison from Derby. You're the closest. Wendy's in North Somerset. Hi, Hayley in South Wales. I'm there tomorrow. In fact, I'm going down today. We've got our cuppa and chat in South Wales tomorrow. Come along if you can. The Wirral. Thank you very much, Nick. Louise is in Liverpool. Alison's in Devon. Good morning. Sally's in Burton-on-Trent, not too far. Claire's in Derbyshire, but she's a northerner from North Yorkshire, but you've got a lovely accent. Julie is in Suffolk. Right, I better crack on, hadn't I? But good morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. So for those who don't know who I am, if you've not seen my face enough, I'm Chrissa. I'm the founder of Sunshine Support. I'm going to be talking this morning on Facebook and YouTube, like I said, all about emotions, what they are, what triggers them, what we can do about our triggers, because I think that's really important, and what we can do to improve our emotional health and also the emotional health of our children and our well-being. So it's all about today you're going to be able to if you hang in there and listen to me, because I've got loads to go through, you're going to learn more about yourself, I think. And I think that's the most important thing for me, because even though yes, we need to be focusing on our children's mental health and well-being. Essentially, if we're not doing anything about ours, we're absolute hypocrites, aren't we? But our kids will learn more from us if we model this stuff, not if we teach them. Okay, so that's why I'm against teaching in this area, because actually it should be modeled. If we firmly believe it and we're modeling it, our kids will pick up on it much easier. Belinda says, can this be saved, please? Yes, you'll be able to watch this back. So once this is finished, it'll go onto our Facebook page. So that's good, isn't it? So do tag people that you think perhaps will benefit from this, i.e. everyone, by the way. A lot of people think that this stuff is just hippie stuff that just maybe us gentle parents and send parents think about. Actually, if we all paid more attention to our emotional and mental health, then we wouldn't have the crises that we have in this country. You know, the crime, the poor mental health, the poor physical health. It impacts so much. So it's really, really important that we're all tuning in, really, to understand more about emotions. So we've got lots of you watching this morning. I'm really, really glad. So let's crack on. Emotions, like I say, we all have them. And I think that back in my day, we were taught that emotions are good and bad. And quite often we're taught to suppress our emotions. So, something goes wrong and it's like, look, it's going to be all right. Okay, let's just stop the crying. We don't need to cry. Let's not cry. Let's not get angry. Let's not do all these big emotion stuff. And let's just crack on. And that's the way I think a lot of us have been brought up. And it's no fault of our parents, by the way. This is just the generations, isn't it? And I think that sort of positive versus negative, we're encouraged to be happy. We're encouraged to try and suppress or ignore the negative, and anything bad that we're feeling. But we now know, because emotional health has had a lot of scientific research into it, we now know that it's not actually healthy to think this way. It's not healthy to push things down. It's not actually healthy to think of things as good and bad or positive and negative, because actually, if something is considered negative, it puts us off processing it. So I know that I, along with many, many other people, prefer to think of emotions as big and small. The big ones can be quite overwhelming because, for instance, I have Crohn's disease. And my Crohn's disease, along with many others, is very much triggered by stress. But stress is not just bad stress. It's not just things that trigger me into feeling upset, although it can be. But it can also be things that I absolutely love. So my family know, as do anybody who knows me really. I absolutely love Christmas. My I'm going to confess something now. A few years ago, I did change my name so that my middle name is Mass. So my actual name is Chrissa Mass. Okay, all right, it's out there now. I love Christmas. However, if you speak to my family, the time of year that I'm the most unwell is Christmas. Um, because I get so overwhelmed by big emotions, but they're considered good emotions, but they're still affecting me physically. So I will still have anxiety, but it's all good stuff. So actually, I might have a smile on my face, but it is still affecting me. So we need to get rid of this sort of good and bad and look at things as small and big. So these big, overwhelming emotions. But the one thing I have learned, though, is these emotions that we typically think of as negative, okay? They can be very, very big, very overwhelming. And they really don't feel very nice quite often. Okay, so I'm not on about the Christmas feelings. I'm on about other stuff. And the one thing I've learned is that if we don't process those feelings and emotions, they don't go away. They linger. They create resentment, anger, avoidance, illness. And you may have perhaps heard the phrase, this too shall pass. It's such a lovely phrase. I really, really love it. It's something I talk about a lot with my own kids. I speak about it to myself, like this will pass, this will pass. It's something that it's a real nice affirmation, I guess, when you're really going through the thick of it. But I think we all need to be thinking more consciously about this phrase. But it only actually works if we allow ourselves to feel those big emotions. Because until we feel them, only then we process them and move through them. So this too shall pass. It will only pass if we allow it to pass. And to allow it to pass, we can't suppress it. So if there's something that's really niggling you, then sit with it. It might be that you have a therapist, a best friend, a husband, partner, whatever. But sit with it. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're really good at this stuff and you can sit with it. And sometimes it depends on what it is that you're sitting with, because I have a therapist and I feel very, very lucky to have an amazing therapist. I also have the most beautiful friends and I've got the most wonderful immediate family. And they allow me and help me and create safe spaces for me to sit with those things and rant and rave and say, I really hate how this is making me feel. Allow yourself to be angry, because that's something else as well. We've always been taught that anger is bad. We've always been taught that anger, we shouldn't feel it. Actually, we shouldn't be teaching our children not to feel anger. We should be teaching our children how to be angry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel anger. It's not okay to hurt people. It's not okay for that to inflict our anger upon people. But it's okay to protest. My therapist always says this. It's okay, bring it out. It's okay to protest. You don't like that. That's okay. So we have to be able to process them and recognize them in order to move through them. I think we also need to appreciate neurodivergence. Now, I have ADHD. I'm a proud ADHDer, as you probably will already know if you watch my videos. Um, and as a neurodivergent person, I can honestly say that I do feel more than the average person. I feel my emotions and I feel everybody else's, and I pick up on them really quickly. And one of the things that I've really had to work on is how I don't allow myself to absorb other people's emotions, because that's really, really hard. And I've done loads of reels on this. So if you're on Instagram, do go over to my Instagram page. I'm called Sunshine Chrissa, nothing else. And I do talk a lot about the things that I do in my personal life, in my day-to-day, to stop myself from feeling other people's emotions. Because actually, one of the things that I think happens when you're neurodivergent is that people, consciously or subconsciously, pick up on the fact that you do feel the feels and that you can be very empathetic, and they take advantage of that. And I've had somebody just this week actually try to manipulate me into feeling their feelings and changing my mind on something because they feel differently about it. We're at different stages in our lives, different stages in our journeys. I'm not going to be made to feel guilty for recovering. I'm not going to be made to feel guilty for getting through this and being at the stage that I'm at. But somebody has tried to sort of gaslight me almost into thinking that I'm wrong for recovering and that I'm privileged for recovering. But actually, that's my journey. That belongs to me. So it's heartbreaking to see how people see that goodwill and think of it as a weakness. And I think a lot of our children, you'll probably, somebody's just asked about strategies to deal with anger. I'm going to come to all of that in a bit. But I think a lot of people watching, if you're neurodivergent yourself, or you have a child who's neurodivergent, you will find that people do try and take advantage of that kindness and that empathy that we have. And one of the things I must say about that is it is heartbreaking. However, we can't change the world. We can't change everybody around us. We have to think about our circle of control. We've got tons of resources on this, by the way. So if you want any resources, please do comment specifically with what you're after, and we'll do our best to source a link for you. But with regards to circle of control, there are some things within our control, but other people's thoughts and actions aren't within our circle of control. So all we can ever control is how we respond to things. Anyway, I've digressed a little bit. Shock horror. So before all of this that I've just talked about, moving through it, passing through it, before all of that happens, we need to understand what our emotions are. Because unlike the kids these days, I'm in my 40s, and I can honestly say, whilst I had the most wonderful childhood, I wasn't taught anything about emotions and emotional health. And you probably feel the same way, because I'm guessing you are parents of a similar age, maybe a bit younger. I know I'm getting on a bit now. But essentially, we're not taught this stuff. Now, I could sit here all morning and go into a real deep dive into emotions. But I think one of the most effective ways that we can actually learn about emotions, I mean, if you want to do some structured learning on this, by all means, look at our Sunshine Academy, because our Sunshine Academy has so many resources, so many small, short courses, webinars on emotions and emotional health. Our wonderful colleagues over at Bridge the Gap have done some cracking stuff for us, but we also have other stuff in there as well about trauma. So there's a real deep delve into it. However, there is a fun way as well to learn about emotions. And do you know what I think would be better than me sitting here and teaching you about the basics? And I think it's really important that we go back to the basics, because so many of us think that, oh, we're talking about mental health on a quite a high level scale. Sometimes we need to go back to the basics and understand what emotions are. So I think the best way, personally, I think, of learning is to sit with your kids and learn together. And two of the best things that I think you can do is watch Inside Out and Inside Out 2. So if you've seen it, do let me know what you think, because I absolutely blooming love those films. I'm a mad, mad fan. I'm such a massive fan. And I've done some reviews. Again, they're over on my Instagram. I won't do it all again. But do take a look, because I've done about, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos on Inside Out 2 in particular, because I think they're absolutely amazing as learning tools. And for me, I sat with 3 of my children and my husband, and we watched Inside Out 2 over the summer. And it continues to be a source of our dinner time conversations, even now, like a couple of months later. And they continue to watch it on TV because, of course, it's on Disney now, isn't it? Um, but my kids will talk quite often and they'll say, oh, do you remember when anxiety did that thing? Well, I felt a bit like that today. They're talking about it. They're telling me what they did to overcome that stuff. It's never too late to talk about this stuff with your kids, but the earlier that we can get it built into their everyday, the better. Now, with my kids, I had a big gap between my first two, and I almost started parenthood again, but with another set of eyes and different, sort of skill set and age and maturity. And I must say that I embedded this stuff as early as I possibly could. And I'm talking toddler years. And it's made a huge difference, because my kids, everybody always says, they're incredibly kind. They're very, very generous. They're very emotional. They're loud about their emotions. And I'm really proud about that. I'm not saying they're drama queens, although one of them is actually. And if you know my kids, you know what I'm on about. But I think it's really, really important that we have these conversations. And, my kids do use words that typical kids probably don't use. And they talk a lot about their safety and their emotional safety, and that the way you're talking to me is not making me feel emotionally safe right now. I love it when they say stuff like that, but it's not a happy accident. This is stuff that I've embedded into our daily lives. So it's become the norm. It's not something that we just tag on as a conversational piece. This is every day. This is everything we're talking about. So we need to know them. We need to know about emotions in order to understand them. But it's pointless us knowing and our kids not knowing. But also it's pointless us trying to share our knowledge with them sometimes, because it's too technical. So a film like Inside Out or Inside Out 2, and by the way, I think you should both watch both, sorry. I think they're really, really important, because the storyline is really important to the kids. So it's not just all about the emotions, but I think it's fascinating, and I think it's very, very validating. Um, but also I think we need to understand our triggers. What causes our emotions to become big and overwhelming and feel uncomfortable? And one of the things I really loved in Inside Out 2 was that it really brought home how important it is to have a balance in our emotions. So, though I'm not going to do any spoilers, don't worry, but those of you who've watched it will know at one point how anxiety became big and prominent, and anxiety wouldn't let any joy in. Now, let's think about that for a minute. How many times in your life have you felt so overwhelmingly anxious that you don't allow yourself to have fun? You don't allow yourself to feel joy. You don't allow yourself to have a laugh. Everything becomes serious. It could be, something that you once used to laugh off, you're now very offended by, because you're so anxious that you can't see good. You can only see bad. And you can only be serious about things and clinical about things, because you're not allowing any joy in. And that imbalance in the film, I think the film is a really good sort of example of this. The balance really affected everything and nearly caused, I'm not going to give any spoilers, don't worry, but it nearly caused a big problem. And so sometimes we have to force joy upon ourselves in order to have balance, even when we don't want to, because the balance is so important. And I suppose, at Sunshine, this is why we always put on so many social events. We do some lovely social events. We've got cocktails and mocktails night for Halloween. So we're saying to people, look, you don't have to dress up, but if you want to, we're here for it. We're game for it. We're going to decorate the hub. It's going to be nice and spooky. And we've got Mambo bars coming in, teaching us how to make cocktails and mocktails. You don't have to add the booze, but if you want to, we're not going to judge you. If you just want to keep pouring, there won't be an extra charge. um, and this is why we do these events. But I think so many parents say, oh, I'm not worthy of that. I'm too busy for that. I can't make time for that. And I think it's really important as parents that we show our children how we look after our emotional health, how we look after our well-being, and we put it in our diary and we make it happen. And how many times have you said to yourself, do you know what? I really wasn't looking forward to going, but I'm so glad I did. So, oh, my team have just added the link to that. So if you want to, please do come along to that. The link is there. Like it's £30 a person and you get 4 or 5 drinks. And to be honest with you, Tom at Mambo is such a laugh. He's not going to judge you if you add a little bit more. So it's a cheap night out, really. It really is. Anyway, the link is there. But also with regards to emotions, the event is based at our Sunshine Hub in Derby, by the way. I should also say, with regards to balancing emotions and injecting that joy into your life, have you ever heard of the author Andy Cope? Now, back in the day, he was the author of Spy Dog. If you remember those books, your kids might have had them. Your kids might still read them. My eldest really loved them. And Andy also has a doctorate, and he is all about sort of positivity, understanding positivity. And this isn't negating negativity, by the way. It's just about this conscious injection of positive in your life. He's a fascinating guy. He really, really is. And one of the things, I went to his workshops years ago with Bridge the Gap, actually. And it really blew my mind. I thought, what an infectious guy. Like his positivity is really infectious, but not just because he's bouncing about and having fun, but because he knows his stuff. He really understands how to reframe life and get us thinking in a different way. And one of my daughters was with me. She was about 7. She's 13 now. She still talks about it. She still talks about that workshop and how because life it can be quite negative, can't it? And she said to me recently, do you know what? I got up this morning and I thought, oh, everything's so miserable. The weather's miserable. I'm a teenager and people don't like teenagers. I hate that, by the way, but that's a different topic. Everybody hates teenagers. I've got homework that I haven't done. I've got to try and cram it in this morning. She was really down on herself. And then she said, and I remember Andy Cope saying, look out the window. Has there been a zombie apocalypse? No, today's going to be a good day. And she reframed the day. And she was like, and I really didn't want to brush my teeth. And then I remembered Andy said, but you haven't got gum disease. Your teeth are really healthy. You haven't got toothache. Brush your teeth and be happy about the fact you have this lovely gum health. It's little things and it sounds really trivial, but injecting these things into your day really makes a difference. But again, it comes from practice. So just recently, I felt like we talk a lot about energies here at Sunshine, and there seems to be waves of negativity. And we're definitely in a wave of negativity where we're seeing that a lot of people are contacting us because they're angry. They're not angry with us. But being mainly neurodivergent here, we're feeling the anger and we're trying desperately not to absorb it because it doesn't belong to us. And so we had a chat behind the scenes and we're like, what can we do to create balance? What can we do to inject joy? Because this is what we have to do. And we have a duty to our community to help them inject some joy. So we called Andy, lovely Andy Cope, and said, can you help us? We need to inject some joy into our lives. And we're really, really excited because he said, I tell you what, I'll do you an online webinar all about happiness, the art of being brilliant. And we were like, would you do that for us? He was, oh my God, he's so excited. We're so excited. And so Andy's going to be doing that for us in a couple of weeks. So if you want the link, it is amazing. Somebody's just mentioned about CBT. I'm a firm believer that CBT is no good for neurodivergent people. I think it's Behavior therapy is, in my personal opinion, it goes in with the whole sort of like reprogramming of who we are. I firmly believe in good quality integrative trauma therapy for neurodivergent people. And I think it's just brilliant in helping us to reframe stuff. Anyway, that's my ADHD. I shouldn't have looked at the comment at that point. But the art of being brilliant, Andy Cope, having that injection of joy and understanding how we can control that. This isn't just about him bringing a bit of joy to us. It's us giving us the tools to be able to do that ourselves. Because like I say, everything is so negative right now. And so we really, really need this. So I know loads of you are already coming. Do let us know if you are coming. I'd love to know, because I'm going to be watching in the audience, because I absolutely love this guy. He's really, really good, because I make sure that we are very, very fussy about the people who do workshops and webinars for us. So do come along. Let me know if you're already booked on. We've added the link actually into the comments. So I think that moving on, what we have to take from this is our emotions are our responsibility, not the responsibility of everyone else. We can't keep telling people, oh, you're triggering me. This is our responsibility. How we look after our emotions is our responsibility. I did a reel just recently on anxiety, because a lot of people were coming to me saying, oh, you know, I'm too anxious to do that, or my child is too anxious to do that. And I said, have you ever thought about how you overcome that? And they were sort of stuck. They were like, no, that's just how it's going to be all the time. But we can improve it. Our brains are very elasticated. Our emotions are very elasticated. Our nervous system can be reprogrammed. So it's our commitment to ourselves to inject some joy into our stressful lives and to look forward, you know, to look forward to something. I know I'm certainly looking forward to it. So anyway, back to emotions. Emotions are triggered. Like I said, they're triggered. We've just been talking about triggers. They're triggered by stimuli. So it could be an environment. You know, we know that school can cause anxiety, work can cause anxiety, events, actions, people. We know people can really cause anxiety in other people, and so many more. I mean, by all means, if you think that there's something else that I've missed there, please do add it in the comments. But I think what many people think is that to prevent the big overwhelming emotion, we must remove or avoid the trigger. But this isn't always the case. Because actually, by constantly removing triggers, we're oversensitizing ourselves or our children. But that's not me saying something else. So bear with me. This comes with a bit of a disclaimer. On the other hand, the answer is not to just keep being triggered either. So what I'm saying is, we're not going to build our emotional resilience by putting ourselves in a position where we're triggered so much, we're essentially traumatizing ourselves, because being triggered by the same thing day in, day out, if our emotional or nervous system isn't able to keep us safe, and it feels like it's failed in keeping us safe, and our anxiety is taken over, then actually that's how trauma occurs. It's when our distress signs, so things like fight, flight, our distress responses, should I say, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, when they don't work and our body and our nervous system feels like they don't work and they didn't keep us safe because we've then reacted in a way, could be physical, could be emotional, nervous system, all of that. If we continue to do that to ourselves, it can be very, very traumatizing. And trauma is like a bruise on our nervous system. And I could go on for hours and hours and hours about trauma. But again, if you want to learn more about trauma, we have the trauma greats and goddesses on our Sunshine Academy. And you can access that any time of day or night. It's a bit like Netflix. The Sunshine Academy is amazing. Anyway, if you want details on that, please do comment and we'll give you the links. Now, I'm going to get a bit scientific now, okay? So by all means, if you want to get a pen and paper, write down some stuff that you can Google, because we're not going to be able to go through it all today. I've only got about half an hour left. One of the things that you must be very aware of is the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is at the core of our nervous system, and it affects everything, not just our nervous system responses like anxiety, but our heart, our digestion, our lungs, everything. So think about this, okay? You're put into a position which the physical signs or physical stimuli cause anxiety, okay? Think about how anxiety feels to you. Your heart's likely to either speed up or slow down, okay? That's your vagus nerve causing that. It could say to you, oh my God, I need the loo. That's me. Oh my God, I need the loo. That's your vagus nerve that's controlling that. Your breathing might become really shallow. Yeah, that panting. It's the vagus nerve. Okay, it controls everything. And actually, if you look at the autonomic nervous system and the responses, there's a brilliant, I used to show this all the time, and I think somebody's nicked it. On all my Facebook Lives, I used to have this brilliant sheet, I must replace it, that shows you the stages of where you're at when you are feeling overwhelmed or your nervous system is affected by something. And effectively, if your nervous system perceives you to be in quite a lot of danger, it will evacuate your system. So you'll be sick or you'll go to the toilet. That's where the phrase comes from. I'm myself. But also all these things are affected by the vagus nerve. Okay. So if you want to learn more about this is the polyvagal theory, by the way. If you want to learn more about this, we've got tons of content on our Sunshine Academy, but we've also got some amazing stuff coming up. Really, really brilliant stuff. So my team will share some links for you. But think about when you're triggered, think about that physical response. The vagus nerve is to blame, okay? So it's really important we look after that vagus nerve. Really, really important. The good news is, though, we can look after the vagus nerve. We can tone it. But in order to do that, we have to, tend to it. We can't just assume that it's going to be healthy by itself. So, for instance, say somebody said to you, do you fancy going for a run? We'll run a marathon. You're not going to do that without training. In order to build that physical resilience, you have to invest in you. You have to put the work in, nobody else. You wouldn't blame somebody else if you can't run a marathon. You wouldn't say, well, I was going to, but my friend said that she wouldn't come for a run with me. No, it's you. If you want to do something, it's on you to make that happen. So it's really, really important that we stimulate the vagus nerve in order to strengthen it. Now, there are some really fun, great ways you can do it. It's not like going to the gym where it takes great effort and planning. You don't also have to be alone for it. It doesn't matter if you don't have childcare. This is stuff you can do by yourself, okay? And so I've got a few things that I'm going to share with you that I like to do to tone my vagus nerve. And by the way, all these things create dopamine as well. So if you're lacking in dopamine, particularly if you've got ADHD, then actually all these things can really, really help because they will create dopamine as well. Now, one of the first things I do with all my children every single morning, several of my children have got additional needs. Nearly all of them are neurodivergent. I'll probably say all of them actually. But we have a very neurodivergent household. And through our own research and the stuff that we do, something that we do a lot, and I talk about this all the time, and we've had lots and lots of workshops on it behind the scenes here at Sunshine Support for the staff. One of the things that we do a lot is front load our day with protein, not sugar. Protein is really, really important in helping you to regulate your emotions. Give it a Google. Okay. Now you can do this in lots of different ways. How we choose to do it is we go to a company. This isn't an ad, by the way. I just really firmly believe in everything that this company stands for. There's an amazing company called Will Powders, and they do some amazing flavors of protein powder, and then there's nothing nasty in them. They're actually bone broth. So it's I'm not going to get into nutrition, but what I'm saying is it's clean stuff, no sugar, no nasty sweeteners. Any sweetener in there is plant-based like stevia. And we add this protein to full-fat Greek yogurt, which is full of protein. And my kids then have that for breakfast. and they absolutely love it. Really, really love it. And it really helps them. And I've had some lovely comments this week from one of my kids' teachers where she tends to get quite emotionally dysregulated during the day. And this week she's been on it, bless her, with all of her heavy protein at the start of the day. And a teacher sent her home yesterday with an award for how much she was focused. So again, protein helps us to focus, but it helps us to regulate our emotions. And the compliments that she's had this week from her teacher, she is buzzing. She's on cloud nine. So front load your day with protein. Another thing is, I've said this before about voo, the word voo, and humming. So, but what I mean is, if you create a nice, well, you have a nice deep breath and you create a really deep sound. I use the sound voo. I saw it somewhere on a video. And you create this vibration in your chest. So let me show you. So you take a nice big deep breath and you go, voo. Okay, so it's really deep sound. And we joke about it at home because we say we voo on the loo because that's a place where you've got time. You've got time to actually do this stuff. Or humming, vooing, creating that vibration because your vagus nerve will really respond here. Having that vibration there really, really helps to tone it. Don't do, I mean, you can do it by all means when you're stressed, but don't rely on it just when you're stressed out or feeling dysregulated. This is stuff you need to be doing all the time. Okay. So you wouldn't train for a marathon when you were unwell. You would do it when you're well, wouldn't you? And that will help your health. Think about it that way. Also, singing, music, listening to music, anything that will create a vibration. I've always loved the deep bass line in the music that I love, and I've always felt a bit ashamed about it because I've always felt like it was my guilty pleasure. Now I don't feel so ashamed. Sometimes when I'm feeling like I need it, I'll put some loud bass line music on in the car. It really helps. That vibration is really, really good. But also, if you're anything like my family, we love having a sing song. So it's something, it's very good for trauma recovery, actually, music and singing. And so music and listening to songs and playing parts in a song and just having a bit of a giggle. Strangely enough, you inject some joy into your life that way as well. Massage, if you're into massage, I love going for a massage, but I don't think I ever have time to have a massage. So if you've got somebody close to you, maybe you ask them to, rub your shoulders or rub your hands, or sometimes you can do it yourself. I've always got a hand cream on the go at the side of my desk because I do love to just give myself a massage. And sometimes that's quite nice, just looking after yourself. Movement, getting up and moving is so important. We know that. One of my kids said to me recently, I've got a bit of pain. It was like women's pain. And I said, well, the best thing for that, rather than taking painkillers at this stage, is try getting up and moving around. Let's see if that will help. And lo and behold, it did. So movement is really good for pain, but it's also really good for your emotions, and getting that blood flowing, getting the dopamine going. It's really, really good. Cold. No, I love cold weather. Doesn't mean I walk out, not dressed or anything, but I do love the cold weather. I think it's really, really good. That's just something I really enjoy. Some people love wild water swimming. You talk to somebody who loves wild water swimming and sees the benefit of that, and I think they'll share with you how that makes them feel emotionally. I know a lot of neurodivergent women who do wild water swimming. You all also have to check that it's okay for you, because I fully appreciate if you've got heart problems, it might not be the best thing. I know a lot of people who use ice baths as well. That's not for me though, but some people really love it. And there are other ways as well, like that cryotherapy. Again, that's a little bit more luxury, isn't it? But if you can access it and you want to, then go for it. Nature also stimulates the vagus nerve. Being outside in nature or animals. Everybody talks about how a cat's purr helps us, is very good for our emotions. Now you know why. If your cat climbs up on your chest as you're laying down or sitting down and they're purring, oh my goodness, amazing therapy. Meditation. Now, meditation, I was dead against this recently. I'm like, no, I'm a trauma survivor. I'm neurodivergent. I cannot do meditation. And then Bridge the Gap came in and taught me how to be mindful. And I've just realized that actually it is possible and it isn't traumatizing. It's actually really good. So finding a meditation that works for you is really, really good. Breath work. Now, there's huge amounts of research going into nasal breathing, okay? Have a look at this. Jen from Bridge the Gap talks about this all the time, but there are companies out there that really specialize in it. Have a look online, look at some videos. Also looking at different types of ways of breathing, because there are certain breathing techniques that really help to stimulate the vagus nerve. So hopefully I'm giving you enough to Google here. A good night's sleep. I know that many of us just really struggle with this. I, in my old age, seem to struggle with this. There are supplements you can take, having lots of magnesium, having enough magnesium is really, really good. And it's something that I think so many of us just don't have enough magnesium. But there are other things to sort of calm your vagus nerve, calm your emotional system to help you have a good night's sleep, because, it's sort of like a bit of a snowball effect. You don't have a good night's sleep, therefore you become dysregulated, therefore you can't sleep. It's an ongoing thing, so you have to break the cycle somewhere. Something else that I normally use, I normally have it at the side of my desk, is L-theanine, which helps me, but that also calms you down. Laughter stimulates the vagus nerve. Sunlight is really good. That also stimulates the vagus nerve, but it also gives you dopamine. Rest. This is something I really struggle with. Rest. I don't rest very much, and it's something that I have to work on. I'm very conscious that I don't rest enough. When I'm resting, I'm saying, rest, make sure you rest. So it doesn't feel very restful at all. I'm getting better, and I spent my summer actually dedicated to this cause, and I had a lot of people supporting me, but my God, it was quite an effort. But have a think about something that you could do each day that actually brings in several of these. Maybe you go outside and walk around your local park whilst singing, listening to a bit of music. You could be massaging your hands as you go in. You're moving, which is great. It's cold at the moment, which is fantastic. You're in the nature, so, amongst nature. So that's really helping. You could be practicing your breathing work as well. 10 minutes of that every day is really beneficial to you, and it's something you're probably not doing now, so it's only going to benefit you. But we have to be consciously thinking about this stuff. Now, when you were talking earlier about anger, there's no point in dealing with the anger at the end. This stuff is where we need to start. We need to start this stuff way before the anger starts. Anger is the end result. By the way, anger is good, but we have to show our kids better ways of dealing with anger by showing them ourselves. So I will say to my kids, God, I'm feeling really angry. This has really angered me today. And the reason it's angered me is because I'm still getting my anger out. And I'm like, oh, I'm really angry. I'm not hurting anyone. I also make it very clear to my kids or to anybody who listens, I'm not expecting you to feel angry, by the way. I would just like to process my anger. It doesn't mean that we have to be completely out of control. We can still be in control and angry. And I think this is something that society has sort of made us feel, is that by showing any emotion that we're out of control. That's not the case at all. But we have to be able to practice it ourselves in order for our children to see it. So I wanted to show you some lovely free downloads that we've got on our website. So we've got loads, by the way. I've got a massive stash here. There's more than this, but I thought I'd go through some of them because I think they'll be really beneficial. So the signs of anxiety in children, right? But this is also us as well. So if you're feeling any of these, then the stuff that I've spoken about is going to really benefit you. But don't wait for yourself to feel anxious, okay? Because anxiety is very much a physical response, a nervous system response to a trigger. Don't wait for that to happen. Just practice now. You don't have to run a marathon in order to look after yourself physically and know that you've got mobility. Yeah. Think about it in those terms. So difficulty with concentration, quiet or compliant, quietly compliant, or demand avoidant, short-tempered or irritable, overly clingy, using the toilet more than usual, or maybe being constipated, overly worried, repetitive headache or tummy ache, or joint ache. That's something I get a lot. Being tearful and sensitive, that's me. Difficulties falling asleep or staying asleep, also me. Not eating enough or overeating, also me. So that is this one, which you can get on our website. You can just download it. Our team will link send you a link in the comments. If you're local to Derby, by the way, just come and pick these cards up. We've got hundreds of them. We've got hundreds, and you can take them wherever. You can take them into schools, wherever. Another really good one is this one. This is all about what emotions are, because I think so many people don't know what emotions are. People think you're happy or sad and good or bad, but actually your emotions are anger, anticipation, joy. That's the one we have to work on the most to create a bit of balance, because it doesn't come naturally. So anger, anticipation, joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust. Okay, so another good one. Low self-esteem. Oh, emotional coaching. Let's come to that one. So this is the stuff you've just been asking me about. So it's really, really important that we do this emotional coaching, but not just like, let's sit down and do some emotional coaching. It needs to be embedded in everything that we do, and that's in school and at home. Being aware of your child's emotions, really, really important. Recognizing their emotions for opportunities to explore feelings. So this morning, one of my daughters said, have you listened to the news this morning? It's come up on my smart speaker thing. I'm not going to say it because it'll set everybody else's off. She said it's come up on my smart speaker that there are plans to remove mobile phones from children in schools. And I said, oh, good, because I knew it would cause a response with her. And she said, no, I don't agree with it. And I said, right, get yourself dressed. Let's go downstairs. We'll have a chat about it over breakfast. And she said, right, the reasons that I don't think it's a good idea are this. And I didn't actually agree with most of them. And I was like, okay, that's really interesting. Tell me more about this. Tell me more about that. She goes, I'm really quite cross that adults are making this choice for children. And I was like, great, I'm glad that you're cross. That means you feel passionately about something. So it's about validating, but also making sure that we're not going, no, don't be cross. Don't be cross. It's not good to be cross. I'm saying, good, I'm glad you're cross. That means you feel. That means you feel strongly about something. You feel passionately about something. So it's about how we frame it. Because quite often when we're told, don't be cross, don't be angry, we're told that it's wrong. Therefore, it comes up stronger, doesn't it? Being aware that there are no bad emotions, but recognize some are very big or overwhelming. There we go. Help your child to name their emotions. This is a real big one. And exactly what I've just been saying then. It doesn't have to be clinical. It's about saying, oh, that sounds to me like, what do you think? Shall we explore that a bit? In your own language as well. You don't have to use my language. It has to be natural to you. Communicating with your kids with empathy. It comes from you. It really starts from you. And also helping your child to set limits and boundaries. Now, boundaries, this is something a lot of adults struggle with. So how on earth are we going to teach our children if we're struggling with boundaries? Now, just recently, one of my kids said, you're never there for me. You're never there. I said, okay, that's really interesting, because I was there all morning and I said to you, would you like to do something? And you said, no, I want to watch telly. And I said, because that was your boundary. You decided in that time you didn't want to do anything with me. You wanted to watch TV. That's okay. I was available. Now, this afternoon, I have my boundary because I'm going to do my self-care. Well, I want to do it with you. No, that's my self-care. And so it's really important that you don't have to be mean. You don't have to be firm. You don't have to be horrid or angry. You just have to say, no, that's my self-care. And I explained to my daughter, well, in order to look after you and in order to do my best, I need to do the following thing. And it'll be about an hour. Then when I get back, shall we plan to do something together? The answer was yes. And we did something lovely. So we have to create those boundaries. We also have to teach our children that we have to look after ourselves. And sometimes that means that we can't tend to them. I appreciate that it's really tricky if you don't have any support network or you don't have a partner to sort of pick up that sort of fluctuating load that happens at home. But it is still really important that you have those boundaries. It could be that you're saying to them, no, you're not sharing my cup of tea. That's mine. I need that caffeine. So that's really good. Now, I've got some other ones here. Low self-esteem. So when children have low self-esteem, it can really, really affect so much in their lives. So it can feel like everyone else is better than you. It can feel that you don't deserve stuff. You might have a low mood. You might disengage from several areas of life. You might develop hygiene problems, lose interest in your self-care, constantly feeling like you're not good enough, having these sort of panic attacks. Not a huge fan of the term panic attacks, but anxiety attacks. It's basically overwhelm. It's where your nervous system is going into sort of some kind of shutdown or anxiety, sort of anxious state. Feeling like you're a failure, having social anxiety, you have difficulty leaving the house, difficulty making friends. These are really good. These are also really lovely and visual, so you can go through them with your kids. I do it all the time. My kids have permanent access to this stuff. I always see one or two knocking about. Like one of mine really loves the we've got a, I don't know if I've got it on me now. But it's a one that's about PDA siblings, because she feels she is a PDA sibling, and it's something that she feels quite affected by. And she finds that these cards are very, very siblings and PDA. There is the one, that one. She finds it very, very validating. We've got loads, by the way. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds on our website. But they find it very, very validating, because it's not just mum or dad that's telling them this. It's actually somebody else. That could be quite validating. We also need to think about masking and fawning, because masking and fawning is pretty much how a lot of people survive survive social situations. I laugh because I am this person. We mask so that we don't get sussed out. We mask because we feel like society needs us to perform. And fawning is taking that to another level, where you're actually really trying to please people to stop yourself from being hurt. So it's where your brain is effectively perceiving a situation as dangerous. Whether it's dangerous or not, it doesn't matter. Your brain is perceiving it that way. So another great one on masking and fawning. And we've got some brilliant webinars and stuff on masking and fawning on our Sunshine Academy. And this is another great one. This was designed by our head of advocacy, Kelly Jarvis. She's a specialist head teacher, or was a specialist head teacher. She's very, very experienced in this stuff. And talks a lot about understanding how your emotional bucket gets full through the day, and what you can do, particularly in school, to be able to empty that bucket so it doesn't overflow. And it's a real good analogy. But it's understanding, a child will need safe staff members to talk to with honesty, planned and structured preferred activities, less time doing things that seem to be a trigger, more lessons in preferred subjects, provide jobs of importance to break up the day, time off-site at an alternative provision, alternative therapeutic approaches. Now, you can actually, that's very much designed for school, but essentially you could think of that in another way for life. And it's exactly what I've just been talking about. So plenty of resources. I'm going to come quickly to your questions. We've got about 7 minutes. So let's have a look. Jane says, haha, every weekend the team wants to sit around on her terms and then gets the huff with me when I'm not instantly available. Honestly, it's such a problem, Jane. All of my kids do this, but I stand firm in it. And all of a sudden, they really do then like to have a structured thing. Like one of mine will say to me, oh, I want to go out to the local coffee shop with you and just sit and chat. That's fine. We can do that. Kim says, when you discuss a person's emotions with them in a non-judgmental way, they're able to explore them and learn to understand them. Absolutely correct. And I think it's that, validation. We've all been there, okay? We particularly as neurodivergent lot, where we feel like we've overshared in a situation, and we're like, oh God, I wish I hadn't done that. I really wish I hadn't done that. Oh God. But imagine if we were validated, we wouldn't have that fear of, oh God, I think I've overshared. Because somebody would have validated us, will have validated us. You understand what I'm saying? Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. So somebody has said it would be really helpful to be able to purchase packs of your cards to be posted out. Well, you can do that. So on our website, you can buy a box of sunshine. So if you go to our website, or even just Google box of sunshine support, you can actually buy them on our website. And they're fab. They're really fab. Sometimes we put a few extras in there for you as well, because we're nice. You can also print them out if you want to, but they take up a lot of ink. That's the only problem because they're all very colourful. So if you want them to be posted out, just give us a shout. Ange says, hi Ange, by the way, hiya. We went to my therapy session yesterday with a foggy head, memory issues, no coordination, concentration, etc. She showed me a few movements from brain gym. I don't understand how or why, but I felt an instant difference, and my therapist could actually see the difference. Amazing. That's what I'm saying. We can't accept, I hear so many women in particular saying, oh, I'm of a certain age now. I have brain fog. We don't have to accept that. There's so many resources out there that are readily available to us because everything now is like we get inspiration from videos that we see online. There's some brilliant things. I'm so pleased you saw a benefit to that. That's amazing. Rachel says, would it be possible to have them posted to my children's ward, please? Yes, if you don't find the link, by the way, just send us a message and we'll sort stuff out for you. That's absolutely fine. Everybody's loving the visuals. I'm really pleased about that. Oh, this is a good one. Gillian says, hi Gillian. My son likes playing in a cold bath. I feel better about this now. Always felt like I should make it warm, but he's obviously using this to help regulate himself. Who knew? Yay! This is the thing. I think society tells us that things should be done in a certain way. And our kids are teaching us, actually, I don't want it done in that way. And we're validating them. So they're doing it differently. It's not hurting anyone. He's all right. If he gets too cold, you know what to do. You're a parent. You're good. Chloe says she's got loads of animals. Loads of Chloe, it sounds like you've got a farm going on at your house. That sounds amazing. Animals are so good for emotional well-being. My kids, we have currently one cat. We did have two, and hopefully we will have another one. And they really benefit from being around the cat, and she loves it. Cats really do love a fuss, don't they? With regards to the protein powder, somebody's got a question about the protein powder in dairy-free yogurt. You can have protein powder in anything you want. In terms of it being dairy-free, I'm pretty sure it is, but if you want to go down the route of the one that I was talking about, Will Powders, just contact them and they'll let you know. Absolutely protein powders for kids. I spoke to the wonderful founder of Will Powders, Davinia Taylor. If you're not following her, please follow her. She's brilliant and she's so clear and brutal in the way that she talks. Like there's no fuss whatsoever. She tells you how it is, and she's really good at understanding nutrition. And also, she's got 4 kids. And she talks a lot about ADHD. I featured on one of her Instagram lives. So she's got a real vested interest in this stuff, really vested interest. And we said to her, or one of my staff said to her, oh, Davinia, would you give your child collagen and protein? And she said, would you go to the doctor and ask him whether you can have another McDonald's? So because the doctor would say, no, McDonald's is no good for you, but you never check that. You just give it to your kids. Collagen and protein is so good for our kids. Collagen is also very good at regulating emotions. By all means, give it a Google. I use Swiss bovine collagen. My kids absolutely love it in their drinks and stuff. And it's really, really good. You can't taste it. So you just add it into whatever, but we actually put it into the yogurt. And it really helps them with their emotions, but also really helps them with their joints and their everything within their body benefits, So there's lots of health benefits. Not that I'm going to talk about nutrition, but maybe we do some more on nutrition because I think there's a lot to be said for nutrition. The Andy Cope, so lots of people talking about the Andy Cope event, and I'm so excited about that one, by the way. Andy Cope, yes, the event will be available afterwards on the Sunshine Academy. If you're not a member of the Sunshine Academy and you don't want to be a member, that's absolutely fine. By buying a ticket to Andy's webinar, you'll receive the recording. Let's have a look. Belinda says, I'm sure my son has school-based trauma. We've got quite a lot of resources on school-based trauma. We did a webinar a couple of weeks ago on it, and that's now on the Sunshine Academy. We also have resources on trauma and PTSD. I mean, that we're the home of school, understanding school avoidance. And so we have a lot of resources on why. your child might be struggling with school. There's loads here, guys. I'm not going to go through them all. Have a look on our website. Let's have a look. I think we've got some trolls. I'm laughing because they said it's a sexy video. I can't think of anything less sexy, but anyway, let's move on. Okay. I think I actually answered the majority of all got similar sorts of vibes, and we're at 10:30. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh yeah, so CBT. There's a whole discussion to be had about CBT, and I'm probably not going to focus too much on it. Um, Sadly, it's quite common that the NHS only recommends CBT, and my personal opinion is that I've spoken to enough people and also had it myself to know it doesn't work. Um, Not a huge fan of CBT. Oh, I could talk about this for hours, but I'm not going to, and I don't want to get cancelled. So, I'm personally, for me as a neurodivergent woman who's experienced trauma, um, I do not value CBT. I absolutely love integrative trauma therapy. And if you're looking for a trauma therapist, please do look at the BACP website. We've also got some trauma therapists who have done workshops and webinars for us, and they're on the Sunshine Academy, and they are absolutely phenomenal. I know a lot of trauma therapists, and the work that they do is absolutely fascinating. And more often than not now, because they're so clued up on it all, they're discovering they're neurodivergent themselves, and therefore they become neurodivergent practitioners, and it's just wonderful. I'm just really pleased to be able to see this sort of thing in action, just really, really pleased. Yeah, so hopefully I've answered your questions. Oh, Becky says, just got in from struggling to get my son through the door of school. Don't force him, Becky. Don't force him. If you can have him, well, I could do another 5 hours on this topic, but do watch my school avoidance webinar. It's on the Sunshine Academy. Everything that we've ever done on school avoidance and school reluctance and kids who really struggle to attend school, there's tons and tons and tons on the school, on the Sunshine Academy. So do sign up. Your box of sunshine is sold out. Well, that's just happened because of today, I think. Just ping us a message and we'll sort you out. We can make some more available. That's not a problem at all. Just send us a message and we'll help you. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely to be on here. I'll be back again in 2 weeks. Tomorrow, if you're in South Wales, we're doing our cuppa and chat. And on Friday, we have our cuppa and chat in our Derby hub as well. Do join us because it's just lovely. They're free to attend, loads of lovely drinks and snacks, and you get to see us. What more could you want on a Friday or a Wednesday? So get in touch if there's anything that hasn't been clear today. Please do ping us a message, okay? I might miss your comment because they come in thick and fast, and it's really hard because Facebook doesn't allow us to see them all. So please, please, please do just send us a direct message and we will help you. Don't suffer in silence. Have a lovely day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.